Welcome to my YouTube channel Minu Chandra. This channel provides a step-by-step guide for students and language learners to bridge the gap between theory and practice. What we cover: paragraph-wise Q&A for better comprehension. Deep dives into noun modifiers, passive voice, and speech transformation. Editing and error correction exercises. Subscribe and hit the bell to transform your English skills every week. Let's make learning simple and fun. The house, the only one in the entire valley, sat on the crest of a low hill. From this height one could see the river and the field of ripe corn dotted with the flowers that always promised a good harvest. The only thing the earth needed was a downpour or at least a shower. Throughout the morning Lencho, who knew his fields intimately, had done nothing else but see the sky towards the northeast. "Now we're really going to get some water, woman." The woman who was preparing supper replied, "Yes, God willing." It was during the meal that, just as Lencho had predicted, big drops of rain began to fall. Direct questions. 1. What was the specific geographical location of Lencho's house? 2. Why was Lencho looking toward the northeast throughout the morning? Multiple choice questions. 3. What did the field of ripe corn always promise? A long winter. B, a good harvest. C, a heavy flood. 4. What was the woman doing when Lencho spoke to her? A, planting seeds. B, calling the boys. C, preparing supper. 5. When did the rain finally begin to fall? A, during the meal. B, at daybreak. C, late at night. Answer key. 1. Answer: it was the only house in the valley, located on the crest, top, of a low hill. 2. Answer: he was looking for clouds or signs of rain because his fields were dry and needed a downpour. Multiple choice. 3. B, a good harvest. 4. C, preparing supper. 5. A, during the meal. The air was fresh and sweet. The man went out for no other reason than to have the pleasure of feeling the rain on his body, and when he returned he exclaimed, "These aren't raindrops falling from the sky, they are new coins. The big drops are 10-cent pieces and the little ones are 5s. With a satisfied expression he regarded the field of ripe corn with its flowers, draped in a curtain of rain. But suddenly a strong wind began to blow and along with the rain very large hailstones began to fall. These truly did resemble new silver coins. One. Why did Lencho go outside when it started raining? 2. What happened suddenly to change the curtain of rain into something destructive? 3. What value did Lencho assign to the big drops? A, 5 cents. B, 10 cents. C, 1 peso. 4. How did Lencho feel while looking at the rain-drenched corn? A, anxious. B, angry. C, satisfied. 5. What did the hailstones actually resemble? A, new silver coins. B, white salt. C, glass beads. Answer: 1. He went out to have the pleasure of feeling the rain on his body. Answer: 2. A strong wind began to blow, bringing with it large hailstones. 3. B, 10 cents. 4. C, satisfied. 5. A, new silver coins. For an hour the hail rained on the house, the garden, the hillside, the cornfield, on the whole valley. The field was white, as if covered with salt. Not a leaf remained on the trees. The corn was totally destroyed. The flowers were gone from the plants. Lencho's soul was filled with sadness. When the storm had passed, he stood in the middle of the field and said to his sons, "A plague of locusts would have left more than this. The hail has left nothing. This year we will have no corn." That night was a sorrowful one. One. What was the visual effect of the hail on the entire valley? 2. Compare Lencho's assessment of a plague of locusts with the actual hailstorm. 3. How long did the hailstorm last? A. 2 hours. B. 1 hour. C. Half a day. 4. What was the state of the trees after the storm? A. Drenched in water. B. Covered in flowers. C. Without a single leaf. 5. To whom did Lencho speak while standing in the middle of the field? A. His wife. B. His son. C. The postmaster. Answer 1. The destruction of the valley. Answer. The field turned completely white, looking as if it were covered with salt. Answer 2. Lencho felt the hail was worse. He said locusts would have left more than what remained after the storm. 3. B. 1 hour. 4. C. Without a single leaf. 5. B. His sons. All through the night, Lencho thought only of his one hope, the help of God, whose eyes, as he had been instructed, see everything, even what is deep in one's conscience. Lencho was an ox of a man, working like an animal in the fields, but still he knew how to write. The following Sunday, at daybreak, he began to write a letter which he himself would carry to town and place in the mail. It was nothing less than a letter to God. "God," he wrote, "if you don't help me, my family and I will go hungry this year. I need 100 pesos in order to sow my field again." One. Despite being a hard-working farmer, what skill did Lencho possess that allowed him to seek help? 2. For what 2 specific reasons did Lencho need the 100 pesos? 3. Where does God see, according to Lencho's instructions? A. Only the sky. B. Deep in one's conscience. C. Only the fields. 4. When did Lencho begin writing the letter? A. Sunday at daybreak. B. Saturday evening. C. Monday noon. 5. How did Lencho get the letter to the post office? A. Sent his sons. B. Carried it himself. C. Asked a neighbor. And 1. Although he was a hard-working farmer, an ox of a man, Lencho knew how to write. And 2. He needed the money to sow his field again and to live, support his family, until the next crop came. 3. B. Deep in one's conscience. 4. A. Sunday at daybreak. 5 meters. B. Carried it himself. The postmaster, a fat, amiable fellow, also broke out laughing, but almost immediately he turned serious and, tapping the letter on his desk, commented, "What faith! I wish I had the faith of the man who wrote this letter. Starting up a correspondence with God." So, in order not to shake the writer's faith in God, the postmaster came up with an idea: answer the letter. But when he opened it, it was evident that to answer it he needed something more than goodwill, ink and paper. But he stuck to his resolution. He asked for money from his employees. One. What transition did the postmaster's emotions undergo when he read the letter? 2. Why did the postmaster feel it was necessary to answer the letter? 3. How is the postmaster described? A. Thin and rude. B. Fat and amiable. C. Strict and serious. 4. What was the postmaster's resolution? A. To find Lencho. B. To answer the letter. B. C. To give his whole salary. 5. What did he need more than goodwill to answer the letter? A. Money. B. A typewriter. C. More time. 1. Ans, he went from laughing heartily to becoming serious and impressed. 2. Ans, to avoid shaking the writer's immense faith in God. 3. Ans, be, fat and amiable. 4. Ans, be, to answer the let. 5. Ans, money. It was impossible for him to gather together the 100 pesos, so he was able to send the farmer only a little more than half. He put the money in an envelope addressed to Lencho and with it a letter containing only a single word as a signature, God. The following Sunday Lencho came a bit earlier than usual to ask if there was a letter for him. It was the postman himself who handed the letter to him while the postmaster, experiencing the contentment of a man who has performed a good deed, looked on from his office. Why was the postmaster unable to send the full amount requested? Describe the postmaster's feelings as he watched Lencho receive the letter. 3. What was the signature on the letter? A. The postmaster. B. Charity. C. God. 4. When did Lencho arrive at the post office the following week? A. Later than usual. B. A bit earlier than usual. C. At closing time. 5. Who physically handed the letter to Lencho? A. The postmaster. B. The postman. C. A clerk. One. The postmaster could not send the full amount because only 70 pesos were collected. 2. The postmaster felt pleased and hopeful but also a little anxious. 3. C. God. 4. B. A bit earlier than usual. 5. B. The postman. He story-based bullet points for A Letter to God. 1. The hope for rain. Lencho is a farmer who lives on a lonely hill, looking over his cornfield. He expects a good harvest but needs a shower of rain to ensure it. He compares the falling raindrops to new coins, because they represent future wealth. 2. The destructive hailstorm. The pleasant rain suddenly turns into a violent hailstorm with large, frozen pearls. The storm lasts for an hour, leaving the field totally white, looking like it was covered in salt. Not a single leaf remains on the trees. The corn is completely destroyed. 3. A singular hope. Lencho is filled with sorrow but remains hopeful, believing that no one dies of hunger. He has a deep, unwavering faith in God and decides to seek his help. He writes a letter to God, explaining his situation and requesting 100 pesos to re-sow his fields and survive. 4. The postmaster's kindness. A postman finds the letter addressed to God and shows it to the postmaster. The postmaster is initially amused but soon becomes impressed by Lencho's immense faith. To keep Lencho's faith alive, he decides to answer the letter by collecting money from his staff and friends. 5. The partial help. Despite his best efforts, the postmaster can only collect 70 pesos. He puts the money in an envelope with a letter containing only a single word as a signature: God. 6. The unexpected reaction. The irony. Lencho comes to the post office and receives the letter without any surprise, as he fully expected God to answer. Upon counting the money and finding only 70 pesos, he becomes angry, not at God, but at the post office. He immediately writes a second letter, asking God to send the remaining 30 pesos. The final twist. He tells God not to send it through the mail because he believes the post office employees are a bunch of crooks who stole his money.